This is an exam ceremony at Awakener Academy. To assess the students' abilities and ranks, professors call them one by one to enter a special portal that leads to a room containing a specially trained demon heart capable of absorbing and measuring the students' energy. It then displays their current rank and future potential to all Academy members. Most students ultimately fail at E rank. Some feel proud to achieve D rank despite their high potential. Then the Academy's most talented student steps forward. He's the wealthy heir to the most powerful guild, and everyone is eager to see his results. He enters the room with confidence. Everyone's certain he'll become the biggest sensation and claim the #1 spot in the Academy's history. He demonstrates his power, and all the students outside cheer. He receives a high-level D rank with the potential to reach S rank in the future. His friends feel especially proud, completely convinced that this arrogant guy is a rare talent in the world. One of them even laughs at a plain-looking guy named Chen who's next in line. He's absolutely sure Chen will get nothing but humiliation, but Chen ignores him and moves forward. He enters the room just like everyone else, but this time the demon heart is scared. Chen hasn't used any skills yet, and the heart is already showing high-level D rank, shocking everyone. Then he uses the weakest skill card obtained from a monster and easily reaches C rank. While everyone's still trying to process this, Chen goes even further. He switches to a more powerful class card, and now the demon heart starts panicking. As he unleashes his power, a storm erupts in the sky. The rank display glitches, unable to show S rank capacity. The professors are stunned, but this is just the beginning. Soon, the single S transforms into triple S rank, and then the system displays an error due to maximum load. Now the professors are truly terrified, and they rush to the exam room. When they enter, the entire room is devastated. The demon's heart has burned to ash, completely dead. This has never happened before, so they have absolutely no idea what just occurred. Meanwhile, our boy casually walks out. After accidentally killing the demon with his immense power, he actually swallowed its heart. So who exactly is Chen, and why is he so powerful? Actually, he's a regressor who returned from a future where the entire world was conquered by demons. He was the last living person who fought for years and ultimately defeated the Demon King by destroying himself along with it. And then, after a blinding flash of light, he woke up in the past, in his dorm room. He's confused and wondering if he somehow ended up in the afterlife. But when he looks out the window and sees people standing there, he slowly begins to realize what happened. After a few moments, he finally realizes his wish has been granted and he's returned to his university days 10 years ago. Then, a strange hologram appears and informs Chen that the integration of the power of greed is complete. As he continues looking out the window, he realizes he now has only 3 years left before the first Demon Lord, the Advent of Wrath, arrives. He remembers well that this Demon Lord was responsible for every event that happened afterward. Wrath is the one who opens the gates of hell, and after that, other Demon Lords enter the human world one by one. Our hero decides he must find the location where the Demon Lord of Wrath will appear and eliminate him before the gate even opens. Coming out of his thoughts, Chen's attention focuses on the interface floating beside him, which now clearly displays his stats. Our hero wonders if this is some kind of game menu or system because he never saw anything like this in his previous life. Back then, he only relied on his awakened power, which only 1 in 10,000 people receive. The National Awakener University's purpose is to recruit such potential awakened individuals. But unfortunately, when Chen came here last time, he completely failed to awaken. By that time, he had gotten used to facing threats, which explains why he woke up in the hospital like this. Just then, the system opens another panel and shows him an assassin card of the lightning type, which he immediately recognizes as the same class he obtained in his previous life. The guy is shocked and starts thinking if he awakened early this time. He immediately decides to try it out, but before he can switch classes, his roommate and friend Ma Long arrives, singing an E-rank anthem. The poor guy has bandages on his cheeks, and he's come to see if Chen is okay. Fortunately, Long can't see the floating panels, which assures Chen that only he can see them. His friend starts examining him closely when Chen's injuries disappear, wondering how a non-awakened person is healing much faster than him when he is already awakened. Our son remembers things from his previous life for a long time. This same roommate managed to awaken during university. Yet he proved to be one of the weakest awakened individuals and was brutally killed on the 3rd day of Wrath's advent. Chen smiles gently, seeing his old friend again. Long then reminds him that their rank exam is scheduled for tomorrow, and both of them need to prepare for it. Long feels bad for our guy because he thinks he hasn't awakened yet, but he reminds him that this rank exam is extremely important if he wants to graduate. As they walked through the bustling streets, Chen casually commented that he hadn't seen so many people around in a long time, which badly scared his roommate. Chen keeps thinking that if he doesn't do anything in this life, all of them will face the same tragic future again. That's why he decides he must work as hard as possible and rapidly increase his level. However, there's another problem. Because at this time, the only way for an awakened person to gain experience and increase their level is to defeat monsters inside demon layers. These levels are completely controlled by major guilds, which means weak people or outsiders like him have almost no chance to level up. He opens his status window and studies his stats, thinking about where he stands compared to other awakened individuals and even the demons themselves. The government has classified awakeners into ranks from E rank to S rank. Chen knows most university students are stuck at E rank and only a few students barely reach D rank. He looks at his friend and mentally mocks him, at least being assured that he's much better than him. Suddenly, a ball comes flying and hits that poor guy directly, causing his glasses to fall and shatter. Turns out they've once again encountered the thug Gong Chung and his goons, the same people who beat them up just one day ago. Chung asks the fool with a smile why he didn't bring cans of drinks for him when he already knew he had to pay. Long immediately apologizes and is about to go buy drinks with his money, but Chen intervenes and stops him, saying that actually it's Chung who should apologize. As Chen looks at that thug again, he drowns once more in painful memories of his past. Back then, they tried to kill him by drowning him in sink water, and instead of feeling guilty, they said they were forcing him to awaken. They only stopped that day when Chen finally passed out. Long had run to check on his condition at that time, but as soon as Chung heard Chen say something, he came back to hurt him even more. Now returning to the present, Chen has made up his mind to teach these bullies a lesson. Hearing Chen's voice, Chung and his buddies start getting into action again, obviously ready to silence him forever. Our hero looks directly at Chung, knowing full well that this guy only bullies the weak because his older brother holds a big position as student council president. As the thug approaches, students around them start gathering, feeling sorry for Chen because they think he's going to get beaten up again. When Chung reaches him, he once again asks what Chen just said, but Chen calmly repeats that he should stop bothering them from now on. Hearing this, Chung loses his temper and immediately throws a punch at him. But this time, Chen raises his fist and easily blocks the attack, even pushing that thug backward. Everyone around them is stunned because, as far as they know, Chen hasn't even awakened yet. Yet he blocked a powerful attack like nothing happened. Chung gets even angrier and charges in again, while Chen calmly prepares himself and switches his class to Electric Assassin. Long stands there amazed while Chung activates his indestructible demon armor and moves forward with a powerful strike. Before he can even get close, Chen moves swiftly and throws him away with a lightning-fast punch. Everyone present couldn't believe their eyes when the so-called weak Chen blew away the school bully with a single punch. Even after getting beaten so badly, Chung refuses to calm down and yells at his buddies to come forward and take revenge for him. Meanwhile, Chen's lackeys are already in shock seeing what he's done. Chung pulls himself together, stands back up, and attacks our hero again. But once more, he gets beaten badly and thrown away without any chance. Seeing their so-called boss getting crushed like this, those sycophants quickly realize they have no chance of winning and immediately flee. The poor guy watching all this is completely stunned, his mouth hanging open as he struggles to accept that his roommate, who was beaten up just yesterday, has suddenly become so strong. On the other hand, Chen realizes that just like his previous life, he can transform into his assassin form whenever he wants. And even at the first level, his stats are sufficient to deal with low-level awakened individuals, which means his current rank should be at least D. But there's one thing he hasn't confirmed yet. Even after defeating someone, the system hasn't given him any level up. Thinking this, Chen was about to move forward and completely finish off that thug while everyone around watched nervously. At the last moment, Student Council Vice President Ling Yu intervened and asked Chen to stop.
She reminds him that even though Chung was at fault, this level of beating is already enough. She assures him that the thug won't dare bother him again, and for this reason, our hero finally decides to let him go. As he backs off, Chen starts thinking about why the student council is so eager to save someone like Chung. Even though he was just acting and didn't really intend to kill him, he knows that bullies like this should receive proper punishment. Otherwise, they'll keep targeting anyone weaker than them again and again. After this, Chen leaves with his roommate while the thug's lackeys watch him from a distance, whispering to each other that they shouldn't even think about provoking Chen ever again. That night, when Long tries to tell the other roommates that Chen awakened as an incredibly powerful electric assassin, none of
them take his words seriously. Long keeps explaining how their once weak friend beat Chung so badly, but E-rank nucleus mage Jiang Zhuo takes it as a joke. Zhuo questions why Chen is still training like this if he's really become such a big deal. They argue that if someone is truly awakened, they wouldn't need to rely on this kind of basic physical training. Hearing this, gamer roommate Shan Yu comments that from what he's hearing, it sounds like Long must have suffered a serious head injury. Zhuo goes on to say that the four of them were placed in this dorm because they're the weakest, and no matter what they do, this fact won't change. He further claims that he himself is the most powerful of the four, while Long and Yu are just supporting vocalists. He flexes his muscles slightly and says to himself that there's no way Chen could have become a lightning-fast assassin. He's feeling more confident than ever and hopes that in tomorrow's final exam before their graduation ceremony, he might even achieve a better rank. Meanwhile, Student Council President Gong Ting exits after completing a training session in the E-rank demon layer with Ling Yu. He sees his younger brother still standing there and asks what he's doing. Chung complains that as long as the person who beat him is around, he can't even sleep. Chung keeps explaining to his brother, trying to convince him that he must take revenge for him. Ting calmly assures him that he'll handle the mess he created. Later at the dinner table, the vice president asks Ting how he's planning to deal with this situation, and Ting asks them if the guide is really as strong as his brother claims. Ling Yu explains that he already knows there are fewer than 10 D-grade students in the entire school, and he's recruited all of them into his club. She further explains that others don't even have access to demonic powers like his, which means no ordinary person can stand against him. On the other hand, Chen keeps running like crazy in pouring rain. He set a goal to run a full 20 kilometers carrying a bag loaded with 100 kilograms of weight, which is almost double his own body weight. He understands how important basic training is for raising the upper limit of an awakened person's power, because handling higher powers requires a stronger body. As he runs, he remembers how his only family, his sister, was murdered when the Demon King Wrath descended to the human world. The Demon Lord massacred countless humans in the blink of an eye, and his sister died right before his eyes. He's made defeating this Demon King his first goal, because that moment was the beginning of all destruction. Chen keeps thinking that if there are still 3 years left before the Demon Lord's arrival and he's already becoming more powerful, then he needs to outpace his growth if he wants any chance of winning. Just then, his sister Shi Ye calls him. Hearing her voice again after such a long time, he goes completely silent for a moment. His sister explains that she couldn't call earlier because she was busy with a competition, and she goes on to say that if she wins any prize, their rent problem might be solved. As she keeps talking, Chen listens quietly and smiles, with a firm determination in his mind to save her and give her the life she deserves this time. After the call ends, he returns to his training and completes 3 more laps around the university. After finishing, he goes straight to take a bath. He's slowly getting used to this young body of his, which has immense potential for growth. He sits down and starts thinking about those demonic layers that only the rich can access. He knows that to become stronger, he must somehow defeat demons. When he's caught up in this problem, he finally falls asleep and finds himself pulled into the greed system. He arrives at an unknown place and starts thinking if this is just a strange dream. Meanwhile, outside, Long comes out looking for Chen, wondering where he suddenly disappeared to. Inside that strange place, Chen sees a massive tower standing before him. But before he can properly understand it, a group of E-rank cloud warriors, Death Hounds, appear as if to welcome him. Chen immediately worries that he might have stumbled into a demon's lair and quickly changes his class. He decides to deal with the demons first and figure everything else out later since they appeared so suddenly. The guy easily kills those dogs that only bark but don't bite and collects items from them.
He quickly reaches level 2 and smiles, thinking that maybe he got lucky and ended up in a demon's lair. Just then, a giant demon appears, and Chen defeats it just as easily as if it were nothing, giving him another chance to level up. The experience points he gets from the boss are far greater than defeating regular enemies of the same level. Immediately after, the boss monster's body is marked as edible, which surprises Chen about what this means. He remembers the power of greed he saw earlier in the system panel and reaches out his hand to test it. The devouring process completes instantly, and the demon is absorbed into a card. Chen is stunned to learn that he can convert defeated demons into usable classes. He immediately understands that this is the same type of ability that Demon Lord Lan Yu possessed, and, thinking that he now has power similar to a demon lord, he trembles. Naturally, in this world, everyone is born with only one class, except for some people who might have 2 classes, but now Chen could hold as many classes as he wanted. He wonders what he did to obtain such extraordinary power, and what that demonic tower standing before him actually is. As all these questions flood his mind, he feels an intense presence, and a demon appears, holding 2 S-rank blades in his hands. This demon is clearly S-rank, which means Chen has no real chance of defeating it. Chen knows he's going to lose badly, yet he summons a lightning sword as a risky gamble to
save his life and fight. Another strange thing is that for some reason, the demon standing before him even knows his name. As time passes, a skirmish breaks out between the demon and Chen. Although it's clear he's just toying with him, the demon deliberately avoids striking vital points and keeps knocking him down repeatedly. After pushing Chen to his limit, the demon finally speaks and gives him the option to stay here and guard this demonic tower to Sergoviv. When Chen still refused, the demon ruthlessly struck his arm. It threatens to finish him off and explains that everything has been going easily so far because Chen is the only person capable of reaching this place. The demon asks him to reconsider once more, but Chen doesn't give up hope and refuses again, regardless of the danger coming upon him. He charges forward with a shout, determined to end this, and attacks again. During this entire time, he had been studying the demon's movements and learned about the 0.4-second wind-up before each strike. He knows he can make good use of that small window to carefully observe the angle of the demon's wrist and dodge the attack at just the right time. Additionally, he's discovered a 0.2-second recovery lag that could give him a small but critical opportunity when the demon is defenseless. And he's planning to use that exact moment to aim for its center. Although he manages to successfully execute this risky gamble, he fully knows that a D-rank person like him can't completely defeat an S-rank. Therefore, his main goal is to cripple the demon long enough to give him a chance to escape. He does exactly that, and then runs toward the only light source he can see, hoping that maybe this is the real way out of this place. However, as he approaches the source, it suddenly disappears, and the demon tells him that it was only an illusion, and the exit he was thinking about doesn't exist anywhere in this place. The demon further explains that this palace isn't actually a demon lair at all. Still, he appreciates how quickly the boy recognized the flaws in his attacks. Finally, the demon reveals himself as Rakshasa, the Rock of Hell, and tells Chen that he is truly the one who can bring hope. As Chen carefully studied the demon's body, he suddenly realized he had seen this exact form before in the first demon lord, Lan Yu. Our hero gets lost in memories of the war, where everything ultimately ended. This was the last battle fought before their downfall. His opponent was no ordinary demon. During the clash between them, that creature first transformed into a python, then kept changing its rank repeatedly, transforming into other terrifying high-level demons. He used raging lava, poisonous vines, and lightning that was far more powerful than his own lightning. Among all those transformations, what really caught his attention was a form that looked exactly like the demon standing before him. He realizes a terrifying truth. Each transformation must have been part of Demon King Lan Yu's ability. Since that power is inherent within him, the demon he's looking at now is simply the power of greed contained within his body. The demon is truly impressed by his shark intellect. It calmly says that he truly deserves to become the heir to the power that exists in this entire dimension. Chen frowns, not understanding what everything existing in this dimension means. Suddenly, a golden void key appears in the demon's hand. This is the only way anyone can enter that massive tower and exit, leaving it behind. The demon explains that Demon King Lan Yu had devoured countless powerful demons. His sacred duty was to guard the tower, imprisoning the most indomitable of them. But now it decides to hand over that very key to him. Rashasa wants him to devour those demons, become more powerful, and fulfill that mission in their place. Surprised, Chen asks why a demon would help a human. In response, that creature explains that even in the demon world, there are righteous and evil beings. One such demon killed his entire clan just for entertainment, like some twisted massacre done for amusement. Since that day, he's been waiting for an opportunity to take revenge on that evil bastard. Now he believes he's found the person capable of fulfilling that wish. He tells our boy that someone's guess about him was correct, that he's their best hope for revenge. Chen immediately asks who that person is. The demon only replies that all answers will be found inside the tower, and he speaks in a mysterious tone like some ancient sage. With his final words, he offers all his remaining energy to him. In return, the demon tells him that he must move forward to become the most powerful human walking on this planet. Devouring all those fierce beasts hidden inside the tower won't be an easy task. Before him, all those cunning creatures will still be a very big challenge that will be difficult to overcome. The demon gives his final warning, saying that only the person who possesses an unquenchable hunger to become even more powerful deserves the power of Purgatory Rock, Rashasa. This is the motivation needed to annihilate every demon king that exists. With this, his body shrinks and transforms into a blazing sphere of energy that Chen absorbs. He immediately jumps up 8 levels and obtains the demon's 2 swords. Without any hesitation, he accepts the mission and promises that he will fulfill the late Star Warrior's final wish as promised. In addition to increased physical abilities, he also gains the ability to absorb power from dead humans and demons, as well as the ability to manipulate gravity. By morning, he slowly opens his eyes and wakes up inside the dormitory like any normal day. He suddenly sits up straight as a loud sound echoes in the room. His roommates are already getting ready and telling him to hurry up if he wants to reach school on time. When he discovers that his body is completely safe and intact, he starts thinking if everything he experienced was just a strange dream. However, his latest stats confirm that it's not at all. Everything he saw has settled in his mind. After reaching level 10 from level 2 overnight, he can't stop himself from wondering what his rank is now. Just then, his roommate starts making fun of him. He mentions how a certain person was shamelessly praising himself last night, telling how amazing and incredibly powerful he's become. Ma Long peeks quietly from the other side of the room, as if he has nothing to do with it. Either way, his roommate challenges him to prove it during the ranking assessment. This will determine who's the strongest to retain the title of dorm chief. On the way to school, the guy who declared himself the dorm king proudly tells his so-called students that each rank is divided into 3 different levels. So even though they're all technically E-rank peasants, at least he holds his place as a proud mid-E-ranker above other lower-level E-rankers. He swaggers around considering himself superior because the difference between each level is supposedly very large. Filled with enthusiasm and dripping with overconfidence, the clown claims he's feeling so incredibly strong that he must have gone up a notch since the last assessment. Extremely annoyed, Ma Long tells our boy to stop joking around and use his full strength today, at least achieve D rank. That way, maybe the dorm chief will finally shut his constantly running mouth for once. In a short while, the boys reach school where everyone eagerly gathers for the ranking ceremony. The thugs enter the campus with such arrogance as if the entire campus belongs to them, and anyone who dares look at them the wrong way gets beaten badly. Even the dorm chief's arrogant smile disappears from his face, just like it disappeared from their father's face upon seeing them. But just like him, the bullies also almost lose their nerve. Suddenly, without any hesitation, they start bowing respectfully before Big Brother Chen. His roommates slowly begin to realize that maybe everything Ma Long said wasn't complete nonsense. Our guy ignores the clowns and just stays focused on his business. Then a new rival decides to confront him. The student council officer Jian, who plays the role of school police, warns him very politely. Apparently, the student council president himself sent him to teach a lesson to that fool who dared raise his hand against his dear little brother. All of Chen's friends immediately ran around and hid. They're extremely scared of Jian, who's an enforcer handling all the dirty work for the student council president.
His roommates can't understand why this D-rank demon is suddenly targeting our guy like this. He invades Chen's personal space directly. The president's loyal pet dog claims that his keen sense of smell allows him to accurately gauge how strong someone is. And at this moment, he's only smelling a pathetic, weak, and defeated person from him. Incited by this insult, our guy responds to him sharply without any hesitation. Jian completely loses his mental balance. And just as he's called a dog, even before the fight starts, that overgrown puppy's master orders him to back off before it becomes a public spectacle. After some investigation, he discovered that his little brother was the one who started the fight first. The result of punching someone with much bigger build than himself was that he got beaten up. Having said this, the president looked at him with glares sharper than any dagger. But our hero isn't intimidated in the least. At that very moment, a professor announces that the rank assessment ceremony is officially starting and requests all students present to come forward when their name is called. Hearing this, the president tells his dog they're leaving. They think this was a one-time incident, and after their threats, Chen won't cause any more problems. Watching from above, a person curiously asks the vice president why she's watching the installation ceremony today. He wonders if some newcomer has caught her attention. The woman speaks with a slight smile. This year is going to be quite interesting. Soon, Shang Zuo's name will be announced. As the dorm chief steps inside through the door, he feels a bit nervous. The atmosphere on the other side completely changes. You see, the assessment is done one by one inside a special demon layer. Inside, a demon heart connected to wires measures the awakened person's rank and potential by absorbing their energy. When the awakened person uses their most powerful strength, the signal transfers back to Earth where the result of their assessment appears. The dorm chief's position turned out to be the same as last time. However, the professors appear confused when the potential appears much later than expected. Ma Long keeps watching the changing numbers carefully. After much suspense, Shang Zuo's maximum potential appears as only C. The king walks out disappointed, realizing that whatever progress he made was only in his mind. His roommates try to console him and say that they're all in the same boat after all, stuck at E rank with only the possibility of reaching a maximum of C rank. A few moments later, the president's pet dog walks out proudly. He's still at lower level D rank, but has the potential to reach A rank. Chen's roommates' hopes are starting to crumble because they've already seen almost 10 students reach D rank. The professors are also surprised that so many students have already reached grade D. For students who don't get actual combat experience, rising above E rank is rare. Excitedly, they call the next student, who is the president and carries the weight of everyone's expectations on his shoulders. As Gong Ting, who is already a guildmaster, takes the stage, all eyes are on him. However, our guy stays calm and patiently waits for the results. Everyone at the academy knows that 2 years ago, Gong Ting's rank was even below D. The historic record for the highest grade in the academy was mid-D rank. So people are wondering if the president will finally raise the standards. Inside the demon's lair, the demon heart's eyes slowly open in his presence. The president can't use all his powers at once. However, he has a strong desire to perform brilliantly at the graduation ceremony, bid farewell, and inscribe his name as #1 in history. When the professors see his potential grade glowing in golden color, they blink in disbelief. Their suspicions are confirmed when they see Gong Ting's high D rank, and they're completely stunned. Not only that, for the first time in history, seeing a potential S rank causes an explosion of excitement in the crowd. The president's lackeys keep continuously flattering their boss. Even Chen's roommates are burning with jealousy, watching a legend being born before their eyes. The professors discuss in hushed tones that this news should be sent to the administration immediately. They need to exercise extreme caution with their precious S-rank candidate, ensuring he doesn't leave the country. Moreover, he's the youngest guild-affiliated student at the academy. Their school's name is likely to be all over the headlines. Observing from above, Principal Yuan Long realizes that Vice President Ling Yu already knew about his potential. That's why she came to watch the ceremony herself. However, she adds excitement to the conversation by saying that she didn't come just to see him today. Besides the showy president, there's another student who seems much more interesting to her.
Exactly right. That very student is next to be called to the stage. Jian gets a brilliant idea and decides to make fun of that mysterious urban legend while urging him not to become another E-rank loser like his roommates. He says that if that happens, they'll become a laughingstock and it should be embarrassing for them to participate in such a prestigious event. Long supports his friend and confidently claims that he'll shock everyone. The crowd watches eagerly as Chen finally enters the demon's lair. As Chen approaches, intense pressure begins to be felt on the demon heart. And our hero remembers that the best way for an awakened person to secure a solid future is to join a high-ranked guild. He knows the only way to reach that goal is to perform brilliantly during the graduation-level combat assessment exam, where candidates have to form a squad of 10 people by choosing members of their choice. The team that takes first place gets the opportunity for direct recruitment into the country's top-tier Imperial Guild. Therefore, the purpose of this test is absolutely clear to everyone watching it. Jian starts the recruitment process and introduces another lower-level D-rank officer from his boss. Although he proudly claims that their party is now completely full, he explains that they already have all D-rank members and the president's brother also on their team, so it's absolutely impossible for them to lose first place. Chen understands that talented students will eventually unite to form the strongest party, while the weakest students will also unite in the same way, creating a cruel environment of survival of the fittest, where weak links will be thrown out and eliminated without any hesitation. After some time passes, Long starts worrying about why there's no change showing on the screen, and the crowd immediately assumes that Chen is so weak that the system has failed to even properly register his presence. Then, Jian explains to Ting that the remaining students are nothing but trash, so they should just leave without wasting any more time here. However, just as they're preparing to leave, the screen suddenly flickers and shows a high D-rank label, causing chaos throughout the crowd and spreading expressions of shock on their faces. The student council as well as the president express disbelief at this unexpected result, but the system soon detects a strange deviation in the results. It turns out that Chen is using this system to determine what his level 10 base stats in his unchanged physical form actually convert to during the assessment. When he sees D rank, he changes his class to the Death King of Hell class, which is his weakest class so far. The ranking immediately changes from high D to mid C, completely amazing the audience, while the council finds it hard to believe that the machine is still working properly. Scientists also start questioning this situation because they're wondering why the results keep changing continuously. And soon they start suspecting that the machine has truly broken down and can't be repaired. At that very moment, instability occurs in the demon's heart, and the results change once again in a strange way. Chen learns about this and decides to go to a stronger class. Therefore, he becomes Rakshasa of Hell. A wave of anxiety runs through the demonic heart while a fierce storm rises outside the demon's lair and Jian screams in panic. Sing considers it like a divine omen, signaling the rewriting of history because their dorm has given birth to a divine demon. The very next moment, that potential flashes toward S rank, seeing which both the scientists and President Ting are completely stunned. However, the system suddenly displays a warning that the user's potential has exceeded its maximum load limit and cannot be detected under current limitations. Jian's mind almost shuts down like a blue screen of death as his soul nearly leaves his body from the shock. As the system starts breaking down due to excessive pressure, the scientists rush forward in panic so that no harm comes to the student at any cost. But when they finally reach there, they freeze in disbelief when they see a withered raisin lying where the demon's heart used to be because it had completely burned to ash due to excessive use. It becomes clear that Chen had probably scared it a bit too much. Still, he eventually eats it and gains the ability to see anyone's rank as well as warnings about potential threats nearby. He exits the demon's lair and is pleasantly surprised to see that every person's rank appears before him. But then he quickly sees that the president has also hidden his true potential and proves to be at most a mediocre C-rank officer. The scientists walk out awkwardly and inform everyone that the demon heart had a heart attack due to excessive stress.
Therefore, they'll have to stop further testing for now. They declared Chen's stats a potential error and announced that a complete report will be sent to higher authorities for review. The remaining students are instructed to return for assessment the next day because by then a new device will be arranged for testing without any further problems. On the way back, Chen's roommates start praising him profusely and considering him like a great person after the feat he performed in front of everyone. Jing clearly fails to handle the jealousy and calls Chen a cheater, while Chen demands compensation for breaking the machine and wasting the council's time, just like a sore loser would. As Chen's patience breaks and he prepares to roast that guy right there, Ting intervenes and immediately challenges Jian. The president warns him not to disrespect his fellow player, which immediately shocks Jian. And then Ting extends his hand and invites that newly emerged talented player to join his team. Throughout this time, he confidently promises that together they will undoubtedly achieve the highest score in history. In the background, Jian's mental balance starts deteriorating because he knows that to make room for Chen, someone will have to be thrown out of the team, and this situation will definitely create trouble between the brothers. According to them, joining Ting's team would make obtaining first place almost certain without any doubt. Therefore, he starts questioning what's so special about Chen, when other people couldn't make it on this list even by bribing despite all their efforts. He suppresses his ego and reluctantly welcomes Chen to the team and places his hand on the hero's shoulder with clear hesitation. Chen immediately shakes off his hand and firmly says that he has absolutely no interest in joining them. This reaction makes Jian break out in sweats, while Ting watches the entire conversation silently without giving any reaction. Jian angrily told Chen that he has no idea what he's doing because their team is already #1 in the entire school without any competition. Chen turns his back and walks away, saying that it has nothing to do with them, and he finds their entire group so noisy that dealing with them even for a moment is impossible. He tells them not to bother him again, and immediately after that insulting dismissal, Jian starts boiling with anger and utter hatred. Whispers start throughout the school about Chen's refusal, and most people assume that after the mid-level C-rank revelation, he's planning to achieve first place entirely on his own. Now the whole school is ready to enjoy a spectacular show as the drama begins to unfold in real time. Meanwhile, Chen's roommates thoroughly enjoy seeing the utter embarrassment spreading across Jian and Ting's faces. After that ruthless public rejection, the president calmly told Jen that if Chen has his own plan, he doesn't need to worry, and he maintained his composure. At the same time, the principal, who was watching this entire development, breathes a deep sigh of disappointment because the boys refused to form a team according to his original hope. He wanted them to cooperate and together create a new record for the school. But Ling says that this way, the situation becomes much more interesting. She explains that Ting's childhood was spent in a very wealthy family. Therefore, such a refusal will undoubtedly register in his mind as a direct declaration of war. She reminds the principal that when their president's self-respect is hurt like this, dealing with him won't be easy under any circumstances. Jian keeps complaining continuously and claims that Chen's arrogance has just grown due to a test error that gave him C rank. But Ting pointed to the possibility that the result might not be wrong at all. He admits that even though the odds seem almost negligible, he still can't let anyone steal his first place from them under any condition. Circumstances. Then, Jian remembers that Chen is possibly a normal student with no real combat experience, whereas the council members are still elite people who have secretly trained inside demon lairs for a long time to reach their current level. He suggests that he should go himself and teach Chen a lesson for his insolence. But Ting cut off that thought midway and asked if their president really appears so petty that he would behave like that. Jian immediately realizes his mistake and apologizes, while Ting cancels the karaoke plan and tells Jian to handle everything himself without any further guidance. He further says in a cold tone that whatever Jian decides to do has nothing to do with him, and Jian immediately understands the message without any further explanation needed. About 10 minutes later, an informant comes to Jian and tells him that Chen has left school after saying he needs to go home for a while. He also mentions that Chen left without eating, making the situation even more convenient. Jian considers this divine intervention and starts feeling excited about the opportunity to deal with him ruthlessly in an unfamiliar area where no one can interfere. As Chen crosses the street, he remembers that in his previous life, a top guild faced a disaster when they tried to conquer a demon's lair within the territory of Saint He country. Inside that cave, they encountered an unprecedented demon called Wrath, which caused all members of the Peak team to be destroyed immediately without any resistance. After that, the demon escaped into the human world and caused massive destruction everywhere. And although that memory remains incomplete, Chen stays determined and plans to locate that same demon's hideout in this life. To initiate this plan, Chen needs a large amount of money. Therefore, without any hesitation, he heads toward the Mithril Monster Exchange Center. He remembers that under the Mithril Guild, this exchange center becomes the largest material
trading center in the entire country in the future. In this world, an awakened person's power is assessed based on the quality of equipment and weapons they possess, and the exchange serves as a crucial link for buying and selling such items. However, for Chen, this place is merely a quick and easy way to make some money for now before moving toward his bigger goals. So he walks straight inside and presents some fangs to the broker, who looks at them with intense scrutiny and clear suspicion. He asks how a student like him obtained such an item. So Chen calmly explained that it dropped from the demon he defeated earlier. The broker reacts with surprise and claims he's never seen such an item before, but his assistant intervenes and explains that these fangs come from E-rank demons called Beast Sanguine. He remembers that records mention that a cloud-type E-grade scepter can be made from these fangs, or they can be ground into powder that can be used for various purposes. The arrogant broker cuts him off and claims that an E-grade item has very limited value, and thus he puts the fang back on the table. Well, he starts bragging that their exchange operates as a VIP system, where they only deal with awakened people who have recognition and high prestige in society. He says he only trades in D-grade and above items, and he justifies this as the reason for not acknowledging the low-rank E-grade item at all. In his mind, he complains that there's been a shortage of high-rank customers recently, and he sees no benefit in dealing with someone of low level, because it won't help his promotion prospects. He calls the whole situation a hassle and thoughtlessly dumps all responsibility on his assistant Lee. As he steps aside, she politely hands Chen an envelope of cash and asks if he needs help with anything else besides this transaction. Chen checked the amount of 18,000 and decided that this would solve his rent problem for now without much stress. Then he takes out the giant sword obtained from Rishasa of Hell, which immediately captures her full attention. Although she's never seen anything like it before, she estimates that it would be at least a B-grade item, or possibly even A-grade in the best case. The broker comes back in with raised eyebrows and dismisses her claim as pure fantasy because A-grade items typically cost around 1 million. He argues that he's worked there for many years, and in reality, he's never seen anything even close to an A-grade item. At that moment, the shopkeeper arrives and calmly says that the item presented here is neither A-grade nor B-grade. The broker praises his boss's sharp judgment and claims he already knew that an ordinary student could never own such a valuable item. However, the owner explained that this weapon clearly came from the Hell Realm and revealed that it's actually an S-grade item. Hearing that shocking revelation, both the broker and assistant's faces freeze in disbelief, and their systems nearly shut down. The owner immediately grabbed Chen's hands and warmly welcomed him as an honored guest with utmost respect. He then invites Chen to come with him to the VIP room and encourages him to make any request he wishes without any hesitation. Meanwhile, Chen is satisfied because he finally sees that the owner, Qing Zhu, has revealed himself as expected. After settling comfortably in the VIP room, the guild boss asks him how much he wants to sell the weapon for. Our guy immediately states 1 million, which surprises the green-haired man. The boss told him that being extremely valuable, it could sell for at least tens of millions. However, Chen tells him that he only wants to use that giant sword as collateral for a loan of $1 million for 1 month. This surprises the man even more because he realizes our guy is extremely intelligent, and he starts wondering who exactly he is. Chen says he'll pay the principal amount and additional interest for the next month in 30 days. Answering, the guild head asks the girl to leave so the big guys can discuss business among themselves. When the situation normalizes, the person says he knows Chen is from the National Awakener University, whose senior students will soon graduate. He goes on to say he knows the graduation exam will be in 30 days and the reward will be $1 million. Then the person directly asks our hero if he's absolutely sure he'll top that exam. Then the guild boss, using his espionage ability, understands that Chen desperately needs money, and if this wasn't his last option, he wouldn't be here. Finally, he announces that he'll lend him 1.5 million immediately without any interest. Extending his hand, he smiles and says this will be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Seeing all this, Chen is stunned, and the man assures him that he won't let a single word leave this room. He just wants in return that our guy comes to this guild whenever he wants to trade anything else. Chen thinks to himself that he understood everything so easily, yet didn't try to deceive him. Now he understands why the guild boss becomes so influential in the future. Then our guy shakes his hand and thinks that if he ever has to defeat the Demon Lord, he'll need strong allies. Within a few moments, the contract is completed and the money is immediately sent to his account. After this, the guild boss asks if he needs to borrow weapons for the tournament since he just gave away his weapon. Even though he doesn't have any S-rank gear, he's still got plenty of high-quality A-rank equipment to choose from. Chen tells her not to worry, and then suddenly reveals his second giant sword that he acquired earlier, leaving the guild members completely stunned. With that, our boy takes his leave, while the guild boss immediately promotes the pink-haired girl to supervisor for landing such a high-level customer. Before Chen leaves, he realizes he forgot to buy something and turns back toward the counter. A few hours later, he's now standing in front of a bus stop. He remembers that in his previous life, he had to struggle like crazy to get to the top, and people treated him like garbage. He worked constantly to make ends meet, and both siblings had to live almost like homeless people just to get by each month. Yun had managed to get into her dream university at that time, but she gave up on that idea and told herself that the campus was too far from her beloved brother. But in reality, she was scared of putting more financial burden on him. Back to the present, he's wondering why she hasn't shown up yet and starts looking around. Just then, a voice calls out to him, calling him a fool for looking near the entrance instead of the exit. She was dragging her huge suitcase along. She tells him they're broke again because rent ate up everything. However, our boy just stands there, completely in shock, because the last time he saw her was 7 years ago. She asks him to help her pick up her stuff. Getting no response, she waves her hand in front of him, trying to snap him out of it. At that moment, Chen suddenly steps forward and hugs her tightly, startling her. After a few awkward moments, she uses a forbidden technique to break free from his grip, while also scolding him for nearly choking her. She tells him he's been acting pretty suspicious lately, and wonders if his girlfriend finally rejected him, but he brushes it off. The two then start walking, and she keeps rambling on about her exams. Still, Chen feels incredibly happy hearing everything, and he tells himself that he won't let anything happen to her in this life. Meanwhile, in an alley, some thugs are waiting for something. After confirming that our hero will pass through here, Jian orders his goons to stay hidden until their target appears, then attack him all at once. With a weird smile on his face, he tells himself that he'll definitely make that guy pay for what he did. One of the thugs asks him if they'll get in trouble if the situation gets worse. The Cloud Assassin tells him that he initially just wanted to teach the guy a lesson, but that recent incident really pissed him off. Remembering the humiliation Chen caused him, he tells those trash bags to leave some for him and swears he'll teach our hero a lesson he'll never forget. Jian brags that he's the finest cloud killer and starts drooling at the mouth, imagining the expressions that will appear on his target's face. Now, back to our hero, Yuen reminds him that he's acting really weird and wonders if it's because of the exams. She brushes off the topic and says a weak person like him shouldn't think too much about it. The sister reminds him that she always told him that no matter what happens, keep moving forward and leave the rest to fate. Trying to boost his morale, she starts singing an inspirational song as they walk through the alley. Chen is pleasantly surprised that she's able to notice his change so easily, but he realizes she doesn't know that he's awakened his powers and has become rich. When he confidently said he was fine, she wondered if it was just his masculine pride talking. Yoon shakes her head, thinking her brother is finally becoming a man. Meanwhile, at some distance, one of the thugs tells Jian that there's a girl with their target. This gets the guy extremely excited because there are no cameras in the alley and Chris Hansen can't catch them. However, our boy immediately senses the bad situation, intentions, and understands that these are the same thugs connected to the student council. Pulling out some knockoff brand AirPods, he puts them in his sister's ears and asks her to listen to a song that he's recently started to like. The sister is shocked hearing this song because he never listens to music, but she decides to go along with it to understand him better. Then he turns around and stares at those thugs slowly approaching. The music keeps playing in the background, and as the goons move forward, the fight begins. Chen immediately goes into his lightning class and remembers that 7 years ago he lost his only family and is only now reunited with her. Filled with rage, he thinks about what wizard's hat these people pulled their audacity from and moves forward with lightning speed. Our hero slams his foot hard into the first one and sends him flying backward while the rest start sweating. Then he clenches his fist and punches 3 people in a row, then finishes off the 4th with a brutal knee strike. One brave trash bag tries to attack, but Chen just grabs his arm and breaks it like spaghetti. The man screams in pain and then takes a powerful punch right to his nose. Seeing his buddies being thrown around, Jian freezes in shock and starts thinking about how the hell our boy got so strong. Chen doesn't stop there and keeps throwing powerful punches left and right as he advances toward the assassin hiding in the clouds. When he finally reaches him, Jian tries to convince himself that he's the most powerful assassin and can't lose. Due to his noble nature, our hero brings him to his senses with a powerful punch that sends him flying backward. However, he doesn't stop there, but moves forward and unleashes a barrage of punches that knock out several teeth. The assassin emerging from the clouds comes rolling on the ground like a speeding tumbleweed and crashes into a wall. He tries to open his eyes and sees the devil himself staring at him. Then our hero looks at Jian, who has now lost his dignity, and reminds him that he already told that worthless guy to stay away from him. Looking straight into his soul, he asks that fool if he can't even understand basic human language. The badly beaten man is hard to recognize. He can't even feel his legs, and half the bones in his body are broken. Realizing he messed with the wrong guy, he barely manages to apologize. Chen shuts him up by grabbing his collar and pressing a dagger to his face. The top assassin can clearly see it in his eyes. There's no hesitation in killing. He doesn't have the aura of a normal student at all. Jian is forced to think about what kind of terrible circumstances could turn a human into a monster like Chen. With ruthless malice, he tells the man that if he doesn't want a repeat of this nightmare, he should carefully remember his words. Next time, if they try any foolish stunts again, he won't hesitate to chop them into pieces. This is the final warning from him to them. Then he adds one more thing for emphasis. If they step within even a mile of his sister, he'll happily eliminate their loved ones one by one. After that, he drops the dagger and returns to Yun before the song even ends. Finally, his sister is overwhelmed with emotions. Hearing the sad and extremely lonely songs brings tears to her eyes. She cries, confused about what happened to her brother that changed him so much over all these years. She even thinks about whether her support somehow wasn't enough at that time. With determination, she turns around to properly scold him, but as soon as her eyes fall on the gift in his hand, she freezes mid-sentence. The shiny gold-plated pen she's always dreamed of getting is right before her eyes. Yun turns red with excitement. She can hardly believe that her brother bought her the newest holographic magic pen, which costs more than their monthly rent. Her adorable reaction fills his heart with joy. It's clear from her face that she doesn't want to return it, even though doing so would be the responsible thing to do given the unpaid rent situation. Hiding his fist behind his back, Chen silently swears that this time he'll protect his sister's smile and make sure she gets admitted to her dream school. Back home, his sister happily spends hours drawing holographic pictures in the air. The big brother quietly enjoys her homemade ramen and says he's glad she's happy with the gift. Despite this, she's worried that he's spending so much money on her when they don't even have next month's rent. He gives her a proud smile and tells her that the rent for the whole year has already been paid. The big brother brags that his small business with a friend is doing really well these days. But Yan Yan is too smart and looks at him with suspicious eyes. She's clearly not buying his convenient business story. Having said all that, she doesn't push him further. She doesn't even remember how long it's been since she saw her big brother laugh so openly. She gently pats him on the shoulder and makes a simple request. Whatever he's secretly doing, he needs to make sure he doesn't completely wear himself out. Meanwhile, in a quiet aquarium, Chairman Ting shares some shocking news with his cousin. The city's best doctors have announced that Mr. Top Assassin is seriously injured and there's no chance of his recovery.